Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to Channel Your Light, Own Your Intuitive. It has been forever and a day, almost 9 months, which is synonymous with the birthing process. So welcome back. I'm not sure which of the videos you're catching. There's about 5 that are going to be posted in the next 24 to 48 hours. I have the owls here again. You're going to be able to see some wild experiences the owls want to channel through. So in watching this, check on the channel for the, which one is it? You know what? I'll link it below in the video description box, how the owls actually came through. And I'm hearing synonymous. This is synonymous with the collective shifts and purges, also of the snake and the rebirth transformation energy happening collectively. More predominantly, that message is attuned to highly sensitive souls who are experiencing this on another level, mind, body, and spirit. So initiation. Also, what's being brought forward is we've been going through multiple spiritual initiations. Okay, we're going here. Before we get into the owls, or rather the owls are saying this is the wisdom that we wish to share. It comes from the collective of owls, also through ancient Mayan traditions and cultures. Mayan, so interesting. So KUKULKAN. I'm saying that wrong, but estoy en la KUKULKAN, a Mayan god. No, he has the bird, the wings of the bird. He has the face of the man, but he also has the serpent god. So this is so fascinating how all of this has kind of dripped and dropped little sparks of light and understanding, and now we're merging them together. I needed to take a few days after the channel where the owls came through so intensely that it kind of took me aback. But after that reading, or that session that you'll see here on YouTube, linked in the video description box below, I knew that I needed to integrate, that there was some very deep, profound messages wanting to come through for the collective, and as I'm coming back to the channel. So bear with me. I'm just, finding my groove again. I am the same, but I am also different, friends. And all of you are the same, but also different. And this is why we want to speak about the initiations. When we speak about the collective of the owls coming forward with messages of wisdom, that which is in the unseen, we bring through powerful transformations. Powerful rebirth can only occur through powerful deaths. The significance of this energy culminating in this full moon will touch many in places. I'm seeing a do not disturb sign. In other words, it was going to touch you in places where you've had a do not disturb sign on the door in that area or that room in the house of yourself. And I'm not sure why it's coming through like that, but you may have found there are old doors, ancient ruins is coming through. They're showing me the temples, the significance of the temples in reference to the metaphorical house of self, or the temple of self, is significant. Every temple holds spiritual magnetic energy. It also holds deep, profound wisdom and truths that relate or mirror back, reflect, and project the energy in the temples. Every temple around the world and in the ancient Mayan ruins, the light is conducted down into the center through the very top of the temple. As it moves within the temple, fourth dimension is Yuga Kali. I have here now. We are talking about the initiation to the cycle of a new time, the cycle of a new timeline. This is relevant information for those who are not clear on what is happening, moving through intense waves, having old memories. We are reaching into the past just in the last channel as the lion coming out of deep freeze. The lion's heart is coming out of the cold from multiple incarnations past, drawing it through into the present, into the future. We're drawing that original heart. We're drawing the original wholeness of the heart through all these past timelines I'm seeing, bringing it to the present. And again, that song by JT, Justin Timberlake, Keep Your Eyes on Me. I'll pull you through the past into the future, I think is the lyrics of it. I'm not 100% sure, but look that up if you feel like that's resonant for you or it's piquing your interest. Oftentimes when lyrics come through, just a little teaching tidbit here, oftentimes when lyrics come through in messages is because there's a specific lyric inside of a song which holds a certain frequency that's relevant for the person that the message is for. It's not necessarily about the whole song or even the true meaning of the song by the one who wrote it. Sometimes it's just a frequency of a lyric that has a specific message that is just for you. In a song, Yuga Kali says, in a song, notice that the entire song is a resonant. She's saying it's a fullness. The entire song from beginning to end represents the fullness of an experience, a frequency, and an emotion. But within that song are different aspects of the experience with different feelings and different emotions. This is why a song is a beautiful accompaniment, a beautiful company of a frequency and a vibration where it can attune to many souls, but may not be ultimately the whole song for the whole soul. She says this is also synonymous. This word just keeps coming out, synonymous. I'm just gonna roll with it. Welcome back, friends. I miss y'all. I love how the divine works through with all these different parts and pieces. Trust in the mysteries of life. Trust in the things that you do not understand. Trust in the illogical and trust in the logical. We cannot know the vastness of the divine, but we can trust in her mysteries. We can trust in the hands of divinity holding us, guiding us through little bits and pieces, breadcrumbs bringing forward so that you may master the elements of you. Go back to the temple, says Yuga Kali. We move back into the temples as that light moves down the physical projection of these pyramids. The light moves down in it, but notice the pyramids are four-sided. Yuga Kali and Yuga Shakti signifies a changing in the cycle of times, heralding in a new era. Notice in the temple, there are four sides, four dimensions. But if you are to view it head on, face value, it simply looks like a triad. However, to move above it and draw the light down in, there are four sides to every temple. This is also the temple of the house of self. When you draw in the divine connection and the spiritual energy begins to permeate through the different chakra energy centers, subtle energy bodies, it's realigning the mind, it's realigning the emotional bodies, it's realigning the root aspects of who you are and reigniting the divine fire within. That's that Leo energy, right? That beautiful, courageous heart that's loud and proud and I'm here and it's who I am and I make no apology for it. With that concept of the temples as the pyramids, but also as a representation of the spiritual house of self in a physical form. These are metaphorical connotations. I am not a pyramid expert or any of those things, and they're just going like this. That doesn't matter. You do not need to, this is a message for me, but it's also a message for a highly relevant message for a lot of you. You do not need things outside of you or different teachings to provide you with proof or provide you with other perceptions. You are to simply roll with the perception of you of where you're at in the time-space continuum. Sometimes the most profound metaphors that elicit the most powerful spiritual transformations have nothing to do with the science and the logic in the external world that has been co-created and learned or unlearned in this physical earth plane. His spiritual transformation is in the invisible and in the unseen, and yet it will affect the seen as the effect, and seen S-E-E-N, and it's like cause and effect. We're having a spiritual transformative energy. That's the cause. The effect is the shift in the external outer plane. So going back to Yuga Kali in the fourth dimension, people think that the fourth dimension is the dimension of time, but time exists in all dimensions as a linear marking point to be able to pull from past, present, and future, psychically to remote view, all of those things. Apparently, we're just dropping in little tidbits here of stuff from my courses that I teach, but it is what it is. I trust that they're meant to merge and weave together to complete the story or complete the picture. So that fourth dimension is actually the dimension of shifting through cycles. That's why it's kind of known as the bridge from the third to the fifth. It's where you're unlearning and undoing and shedding and releasing. It's definitely a dimension of the snake, that's for sure. It's where you're undoing those things, but also trying out new things. It's a new way of being, right? Your third dimensional self views yourself as smaller than all your problems, obstacles, challenges, and other people. Whereas your fifth dimensional self understands that you are bigger than every challenge, obstacle, everything you come up against, which puts you in a position of personal power. And that's the difference between a third dimension operating from only a 3D perspective versus operating from a 5D perspective. And then of course you move through all the other dimensions as well. If you wish to take the Dimensions of You 5D Blueprint course and you want to explore the different dimensions and how they go into this beautiful framework of creating realities, please feel free to check out my Dimensions of You course. I will link that in the video description box below. It tells you a little bit about each of the dimensions in that process of creating reality, but also it gives you the opportunity to be able to do your 5D blueprint if you are ready to step into that mode. If you're ready, I'm ready. That's what I'm hearing. Oh, when the student is ready, the teacher arrives. I'm also hearing that. As a student and a teacher, if that makes sense, because you can't be a teacher without being a student, and you can't be a student without also being a teacher for the teacher. It's a beautiful, harmonious energy when the two align like this with a profound and deep respect. I have one of your higher selves. Impressive is what I'm hearing. Impressive. It's impressive to be able to identify the different aspects of divinity and how it is always humbling us, raising us up, putting us through, I want to say tests, even though I don't like tests. I'm not into them. They don't really spurn me on. They don't give me any motivation, but maybe they do for you, acknowledging it as spiritual tests. But in truth, you're always going to pass the test when you realize that it's not a test to, determine whether or not you're worthy, which is the paradigm that most people perceive tests in, and why I actually don't like utilizing that term. But I'm being told that when you can perceive the test not as a determining factor of whether or not you're worthy of something or capable of something, and you begin to perceive it from the fifth dimension, you will suddenly have a greater glee for anything that may appear to be a test, right? Sometimes test comes in beautiful boons of blessings. I have Mahalakshmi here in beautiful, and Bhuvaneshwari, beautiful boons of blessings. Sometimes the test is, here's a blessing for you. Will you receive it? Will you open your heart to it? Will you peel back the layers and allow yourself to learn through blessings? Sometimes those can be tests as well. So I feel like they're sharing this with me so that I can kind of remove that limited perspective that I have about the perception of tests. But in truth, maybe it's actually synonymous with somebody on here, one of you watching, that you're tired of spiritual tests. This is part of the initiation process. A spiritual energy and transformation elicits profound changes within the depths of the DNA of every fiber of your being, your energetics, your physicality, and your mind. This is an extremely intense process for some of you. If you will simply lean in and open your heart, you will discover it moves through you just as quickly as it arrived. That is giant key. That is the secret. I also want to say in the full moon in Leo, they're showing me the snow and the heart melting, this fire of the heart melting the snow and the deep freeze. Again, that's part of the other channel that came through that's linked in the video description box below. But what's the purpose of this? Because I feel like spirit just kind of sidelines me. It's time for the owls to speak a morsel of truth or a morsel of wisdom. In the unseen realms, in the dark, that is often where we discover what's really going on, what's really holding us back. This is a great heart elevation for many in the collective. This can also represent chaos and pain. Most do not recognize that this beautiful light center that's within them in their heart as the center of awareness of all things. That is, after all, one of the great teachings of the heart center. Yes, it is unconditional love. Yes, it is compassion, but it is the center of awareness. When we have unforgiveness, when we have pain, shame, guilt, and fear, or betrayals, or wounds, or breaking of hearts, and the emotional energy of it and the thought forms associated with it are all clouding that heart chakra, we never get to have the awareness and the clarity of the higher dimensional purpose or the deep, profound healing of the heart that is waiting underneath it all. This is very powerful for Yuga Shakti. Yuga Kali is arising to dismantle, draw out, bring forward, or dissolve, deconstruct, destroy all of this clouding and heaviness on top of the heart chakras. This is why they're saying go back to the lion in the deep freeze. The lion statue is cracking, and the heart through the ages is being drawn forward into the present moment, all healed in the present moment from the past. We are entering a new cycle of time. A new era has already begun. You are all part of this, and you will all experience it differently. Lean in, be tender, have compassion. I'm seeing the card Keening from the Imbolc deck. Oh, they're saying it's time to pull cards, that's why. So Keening is a card, and the reference of that is in Celtic tradition. Keening is the wail of sorrow, the wail of pain, the wail of wound that erupts from the very depths of us. And it's reminding me when my daughter died right afterwards, Ava, for those of you who don't know that that's how I started my spiritual journey back in 2010. When she passed away, and I was completely unaware of this, I don't remember this. It was like I was not there. It was kind of in a fog, but at her funeral, I was told by a woman 10 years later, a woman that I know, wow, all these cards are coming out. Groundhog Day. Groundhog, that's the card. I'm sharing this because, why am I sharing the spirit? They're showing me a bullseye in the room. It's important for somebody on here who is feeling a deep sorrow that has been a long time coming to be drawn out of you, because you've been withdrawn due to these deep sorrows, and everybody's might be different. But I will tell you this, 10 years after my daughter's funeral, a woman who was a friend of mine, she said to me, she said, and I didn't know this at the time, she said, I will never forget, it still echoes in my ears, when you wailed when they closed Ava's casket. And I looked at her and I thought, I didn't do that. Did I do that? I couldn't remember it. I was so disassociated in the moment. And she said it was the most heartbreaking, haunting wail that echoed through the whole church as they closed my daughter's casket. So that wail keening is coming up really intensely. I feel like it's the final wail, or the final, keep your eyes on me. It's the final extraction of all the things that have been clouding your hearts, the sorrows, the disappointments, the wounds, the heartbreaking things that happen on this earth plane. This full moon is drawing your heart. The lion's heart is being lit like a fire coming out of the cold, melting the deep freeze or the thaw. Compassion and communication, speaking from the heart, speaking from love, is going to be so potent and powerful at this time, and profoundly healing. We also just had Groundhog Day, side note. So in this card from the Imbolc deck, Seasons of the Witch, if any of you are familiar, and it is Imbolc, the beginning of February 1st and 2nd, was the ceremonial quarter season between the solstice and the equinox, just marking it in 8 sections of the calendar. So this card says, wake up, dear one. From the slumber you find comfort in. The truth is seeking those who are ready to acknowledge it. I feel like this is kind of like a hidden truth is what I'm hearing, and I have Goya Kali here. The revelation is this. The slumber that you have been finding comfort in is indeed an illusion, is indeed not the place where you will find your miracles. Sometimes we move and elicit change, not by staying where we are in the comfort zone, but rather by illuminating, stretching further, and stepping out onto the fool's journey. The heart of the collective is asking to take a fool's journey. It is asking to leave behind the quiet slumber and to awaken to the excitement of life, to the heart's yearning to love and to be loved, the heart's truth, to explore the awareness and the joy of the world around us. This is such a, I feel fire. That's what I want to say. I feel fire energy coming in. And I also have the goddess of fertility, love, medicine, healing. She's also known as the goddess of the moon. Technically, she's kind of like this culmination of multiple goddesses. Each goddess represents a different facet. Goddess IXCHELL, in a sense, combines all those different goddesses into one superpower. That one superpower, much like Durga, much like Mahakali, can arise with the 10 arms, each allowing the need for every facet of one to arrive when it is needed. We need not always be a warrior. We need not always be the lover. We need not always be the mother or the nurturer. In fact, we can relax and find peace in the deepness of the self when we recognize that my warrior will stand when it is required. Therefore, I do not need to be in fight mode all the time. The mother will arise when she is required and nurture gently and tenderly those that need it. But that is when it is required. To be only in one aspect of the self of the divine goddesses that exist in each and every one of you. And this does not exclude the gods. This is true whether you are masculine or feminine, for both these energies reside in each and every one of you. Every one of you has a warrior, has a mother, has a healer, has a maiden. It's like the mother maiden crone. She says, I encompass the trinity of all things. She says, this is true of every individual. When we understand and have leaned into each of these capacities, we no longer feel the need to fight all the time. We no longer have the need to feel like we need to slumber in the darkness of the comfort of the safe zone that is only half of you. The safe zone at this time represents comfort in something that's only half of you. The sacred fool understands there is an entire existence in the world to be explored and experienced without the catastrophizing of old wounds. The one who is not willing to engage with life is typically one who is held down in the comfort and the slumber of the wounds in the closet of the shadows of the self. This is a very profound message. And in addition, it is meant to touch your soul. It is not meant to be encompassing of the vastness of the wisdom of the universe, nor is it meant to tell you what to do. It is a holy reckoning of the soul within each of us, the unconscious coming up to the conscious realms. Move with the energy, open the heart, understand that the owl singing in the dark will show you the way. Also notice that as the owl collective arrives, KUKULKAN is translated literally the eye of the owl. Wow, I did not see that coming. The eye of the owl. I'm just putting these pieces together because I did do some research after I had that experience with the owls coming in so intensely. I felt the need, something significant was happening. A significant wisdom or an energy or collective was trying to move through me. And I didn't know that it was associated with Mayan teachings. The time has come, as what I am hearing, with Mayan teachings and different deities and those aspects. But these are all interconnected, and I'm just pulling the little pieces and parts to bring them together into a more nuanced or richer, wholer picture is what I'm saying, hearing. They're saying, go back to the owl collective. The owl collective are both the wings that fly, but we also see in the dark. If you go back to the previous channel, when we first made ourselves known, you will notice it was not one owl. You will notice the great horned owl led. And yet it was the snowy owl who preceded that leading. Notice that all the owls in the collective was the many different types and species of owls who operate slightly differently, who look slightly different, who each have different spiritual purposes and deep spiritual meaning. And yet, we are all owls. Each different species represents a different aspect of the human form, the archetypes that one may encourage, one may embody, and one may play out in the roles that they have chosen. Yuga Kali and Yuga Shakti are the initiators of a change in the cycle of time. Allow anything from the previous incarnation and cycles, any deep heart wounding, to be burned away. The sacred fire of the heart is what you had seen previously. Many in the collective will experience this. Allow it to purify you, for this is the initiation of a new era. I want to say aura, as in aura. They're saying, first of all, we're going to say era, but it's coming out as aura, and they're saying you're moving in the in-between. When an era and an aura, every era has a different aura, a different energy. The version of you in the previous cycles of time had a conducive aura with certain electromagnetic shifts and changes, frequencies, stagnancies, and interferences. Take this if it resonates, whoever this message is for. In this new cycle of time, your aura is completely different. Auras do not stay the same. They shift and they change based on the energetic fields, the electromagnetic potential interferences, or the electromagnetic fields of others. Auras come together to compute information, to understand. It's sensing the information. However, in this next cycle, your auras will be operating differently. They will look differently. They will be more vibrant. They will be more obvious because they have been strengthened from the temple of the house of self within. Hence, the spiritual transformative energy coming down through the center point, the center, the millennia of centers, the millennia of light, also known as the goddess of rainbow or the goddess of light or the goddess of the rainbow body is what it's coming through right now as a perception or persona. The moon is required to illuminate anything that has been dampening, weakening, or tainting the auric field of you. The new cycle is you in a position of empowerment that allows you to exude your frequency and no longer be bombarded by dense frequencies crushing in on you. A goddess of fertility. Fertility and birthing is the rebirth. There is the rebirth of a physical incarnation. We are born into the body, and so too do we die from the body. But the spirit is eternal. We cannot have life and death if we are not eternal. And in addition, in this way, life and death do not exist. They are simply ebbs and flows in the cycles of creation, preservation, and destruction. There is no end and there is no beginning. Therefore, take heart, dear hearts, for those who feel you are facing deep losses and endings, for those who are walking away, for those who are removing the stagnancy and the blockages to the heart chakra. Yes, this is an ending, but look forward, look to the dawning sun. Where the sun meets the earth at the tip of the, what is that? Where the sun meets the earth at the tip of the waters. It is the dawn of a new era. Welcome it. Welcome it. Welcome this dawning of a new era. Understand, in great losses, sometimes we're having greater gains. And this new cycle is a gain of you, a strengthening of the temple of the house of self of you. This, I did not expect this to go through all these different weavings, but let me know in the comments, friends. It's been 30 minutes and I feel like I've been talking for 5 minutes. Welcome to Erin's time, island time. Welcome to Erin's island time or divine time. So it's really operating outside of the time-space continuum. For time is such the marker. You guys all know this if you look at the quantum aspects. But anyways, I'm not going to go on about that. I'm just going to say welcome back. I hope you guys are all doing well. Let me know if any of this resonated for you in the comments. I know I'm dipping and delving and merging and weaving a number of different cultural teachings, wisdoms, deities, gods, goddesses, as well as quantum teaching and psychic development and all those things. But they all merge together. We are one. We are all working together in the favor of the highest spiritual benefit of all beings. Trust how the information comes through. Allow it to be integrated and roll through you. Allow yourself to emerge in the new era. Allow yourself to close the door to the old cycles. I'm going to pick up where I left off, but know that it's going to be the same, but it's going to be very different. And I'm very excited to share all of the things that have been occurring in the last 8 to 9 months and the different wisdoms that have been channeled through in the teachings and the epiphanies, and the owls wish to share what we have seen in the dark over the last 9 months. So if you haven't already done so, like, share, subscribe, click on the notification bell so you can be notified when these other videos come out. They're going to come out kind of like a clumping. You can expect for more consistency on the channel with me, as I've agreed to come back and just share. Happy heart opening is what I want to say. Happy healing, happy divine fire, Agni. The initiation process has begun is what I am hearing.